It's fine.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 81. Hello, Matt. Matt, how are you?
I'm good, mate. Yourself?
I'm exceptional, thank you. My guest today, Matt Testall, is a fellow Brummy, which is good. Haven't had many Brummies on the show. I think you're the second or the third. Not only that, he's also a plumber. Well, he was a plumber, like me. He got his head screwed on and got out of the game. And he quit his job to go full-time with his travel blog and some other entrepreneurial ventures. He's someone who actually follows in my own footsteps with a strong desire to travel the world and never work for anyone else again. And I'm pleased to say he's actually recently taken some big steps to do it. So to start with, Matt, congratulations, bro. How old are you? I forget now. You're about a year younger than me.
30 years young.
30 years young. So like to make that step at 30 to quit your job and decide that you're done, you're not going to work for anyone else again, you don't care what you have to do to figure it out and make the step, it takes big pair of cojones, man. I know I got a pair so I could do it, and I know you have too. And we've been back and forth on it for months, so haven't we? We've been talking about it for a while. I've been enjoying giving you, I always enjoy helping people, but it's always nice when there's someone who actually wants to do exactly what you have already done, and they used to do what you used to do. So it's quite a unique situation for both of us. But I'm trying to think when the first time we started talking about it was.
Oh, 4 or 5 months ago, when I hit you up and I was like, you are doing the thing, and I was like, it's just a vibe, and you get the energy, and you know, there's not many people out there giving it to the masses like yourself, you know. So that kind of, you know, when you grasp that and you're like, you know what, I'm with that. Do you know what I mean?
Well, if you want to do something and you want to do it quickly and shortcut it, then just find someone who's already done it and copy what they've done, you know. Don't copy who they are, but copy what they've done. Someone knows that you don't want to be a copycat, but if you're copying the right cat, then it's good. It can work well. So tell me about you and your beautiful girlfriend, and well, don't wait there because I've forgotten her name right now, but don't tell me it. It's Jess, that's it, it's Jess. I hadn't forgotten. Just a little memory file there. You and your beautiful girlfriend Jess run a travel blog, Mr. and Mrs. Testall, which is on Instagram and I've got Facebook as well. What is how that got started and what made you want to start it?
So we left last November to travel Southeast Asia, and we were en route to Australia. That was the original plan. As you know, with COVID, we got cut short whilst we were in the Philippines. Got stuck in a hotel for about 2 months, literally. No one could leave the hotel. The army were securing the roads off. It was, you had to have a pass to leave the hotel. Only one person could leave. Got a bit lively. We were like, we've got all this content, all these stories to tell. Why don't we start, you know, just getting it out to the masses? So the missus, you know, signed up to the, you know, the platforms that we need to use. And then it just went from there, really, mate. We started in the Philippines in I'd say around April time, and then it just continued on as we managed to get home in the end. That wasn't the plan, but we had no choice. It was kind of like, right, stay in this hotel until the Philippines goes back to normal or go home.
because the longer term plan was to get to Australia, wasn't it, which is where I am.
This was it. I mean, the visa has been going through for going on 2 years now, but we were kind of hoping that it would come through whilst we were there, but you know, I was shut it down, and that was it. So it's back to England. Shut
it down, but you know, you didn't let that stop you. A lot of people would go, "Oh, well, it wasn't meant to work out. The dream didn't happen. I'm just going to walk away from it. I'm just going to sit with my job back in the UK," which, you know, I know you weren't 100% happy in. A lot of people don't even express that. They just tell themselves they are happy and just keep doing it and doing it and doing it. And eventually you get to one point where you're like, why do I feel so miserable every day? Most of all the days.
If you're not enjoying doing it, there isn't no point in doing it. It's simple as that.
No. It's easy to say, but not easy to do. I mean, I suppose it's easy when you don't have people that depend on you, you know, kids and perhaps other family members. But and I think that's the trap a lot of people fall into, right? They just think, Particularly some people who have kids when they're young, which is nothing wrong with that. But when you've got people that you have to provide for, it makes it very difficult to get out of a space that's paying for that providing.
Yeah, exactly.
When you don't like doing it, it can be, and I see a lot of people get stuck in that trap. But man, for one thing for sure, you're not one of them. So you got back out of the Philippines. You got back home, which was probably a mission in itself. To be fair, things got a bit hard over there, I imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it got a bit lively, man. We were kind of got to a point where every flight we were booking, and we're talking 3K each a flight, not like a couple hundred quid. So they cancelled the first set of flights.
Yeah.
Then we booked another set of flights that got cancelled, and then luckily the UK government were doing a repatriation flight where they were picking up, British people along the way. Fortunately, we jumped on that flight and obviously got back to the UK, and then it was like, right, okay, reassess what are we doing with ourselves. The blog was obviously in the background and, wanting to mooch on, but for me, it was straight back to work, get back on the tools, start replenishing the funds.
Yeah.
And
what was it like? Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I just had a moment of clarity, and there was just a specific moment, and I'll remember it to the day I die, just absolutely getting it soaked. I was freezing cold, and I was just like, you know what? I have a choice here, and I don't actually have to do this. So it was just a case of getting my financials right and being, okay, I can pull myself away here and then do something that I really want to be doing, that I am enjoying, whether that be, behind the camera, helping the missus out with the blog. It's something that there's an end goal, the ambition is there, but the plumbing or, working was just halting me majorly. There's only so many hours in the day, isn't there? You know what I mean? And then after you've done, you go to work, you do your gym, and then it's like, right, I've got these hours where I've got to squeeze everything, and then you start getting stressy because you've been at work all day, and it just wasn't working for me. So I made that jump when I was just like, you know what, let's go for this. Yeah. And then what's the worst that can happen? I'll be back to plumbing.
That's the thing, isn't it? You say that's the thing, isn't it? That they say that, shit, it doesn't matter where you are, if you're doing plumbing, shit always runs downhill, and it's as simple as that. It was a bit of an adjustment for me, like taking my skills here, just because they call different things, different parameters and pipe sizes and materials. But within a couple of months, you're actually walking into the plumbing store and you're knowing the right things to ask for.
Yeah,
kind of does work out. Funnily enough, I say that like I will still do a bit of plumbing when the right job comes along. For me, and I know you're on to all about this as well. It's about multiple income streams. But doing it for myself and my own jobs, for the jobs that I want to do, and doing it for someone else because I have to trade my time for their money is a completely different thing. I was actually on the talk today, and I will be pretty much for the rest of the week. And for me, it's always nice to I reckon you'd align with this, and most people would who work with their hands or in construction in any way, shape, or form. It's nice to put your skills to something in a physical perspective. And particularly if you're doing a bathroom or a new heating system and see the before and the after, and know that your work, and often stuff that you work on, some of the stuff you install will long outlive you, and I think that's a thing that people don't really think about, but you are making a nice difference in people's homes with that you do, and it's a nice thing to do. I always enjoy doing it. It takes its toll on your body after a while. I think. But there's a lot of enjoyment in it, but it does get to the point where you're like, the reason I stopped doing it was because it was smashing my body, number one. Number two, I'd grown my online business to a point where I didn't have to do it anymore, which was great. I know you'll do the same with multiple things you're working on. But more than that, it was just like, I just didn't feel fulfilled in it anymore. That was the main thing. There was just no fulfillment left in it for me. It was like, all right, it doesn't matter how hard I work today, I can give these guys a couple hours overtime. And if I get the job finished or not, I started to become not bothered about it. And I was like, this is no good anymore. And I'd worked for myself, I've worked for huge international companies, I've worked for small companies, but it's just, at the end of the day, if it doesn't fulfill you, it's time to move on. But I probably thought about that for about maybe a year and a half. And then even when it came to it, I was still like, and even afterwards, I was like, oh, was this the right thing to do? Like, I wasn't too sure. Yeah, you question it back and forth. And then the weird stuff, like, I know we were talking about this the other week. So your first day of freedom was it January the 1st? Was that when you quit? Was it just before?
Yeah, mate, yeah.
So what a great way to do it. So I went on my birthday, but I had to work an actual couple more weeks, but still like a nice milestone time-wise to attach it to.
Yeah.
And then you have weird things like, well, what time do I get up in the morning and what time am I meant to go to bed? It's like there's no rule. There's almost no rule there anymore. You have to dial it.
Just like, this is it. Like you say, it's like freestyle. Like, what am I doing today? But as soon as you get into this, you have to have regime. You know, you've got to have a bit of structure in your day, because otherwise I'll just be like, oh, okay, right then, where's this couch? You know what I mean? Kind of thing. But no, it was the first few days. It was very hard. I'm not gonna lie. You know, it was kind of right. Got to get up, whether it's meditation, yoga, stretch it out. Got to get that done straight away. Get your breakfast in you, and then start your day. You know, however you want to go about it. There's got to be structure. That's what I find, because if you, like I did find, I was writing down, or me and the missus were writing down what needed to be done the night before. But as soon as I didn't do that, mate, head just goes. Absolutely. Like, I get to a point in the day where I'm like, well, I haven't written it down. What's next? And then I'll start annoying the missus, like, oh, what you know what I mean? And it's all about the structure of the day. I find that very important for sure.
Yeah, structure, routine, discipline. It takes a bit of time to figure out that routine, how it's going to look, what it's going to feel like, and what you think it might be. And then you try it, and actually you're like, well, that doesn't work. But discipline's a big one. Discipline's a big one. Let me just turn this light down, because it's that bright to actually hurt my eyes. Did you get the lighting wrong in the new office?
Tweak it down.
That's probably a little bit better. Yeah, I don't feel like I'm at the circus show anymore, which is good luck. But so, what, Matt? If you had to like nail it down, what were the things that you were thinking about that made you quit your full-time job, and then how did you feel when you did it?
At the time, I was listening to Gary V, Crush It, obviously, before I spoke to you, and it was kind of like, he's so just like, drill it. If you're not enjoying it, sack it off. If you've got something you want to do, drive towards it. Do not stop. Whether you've got kids, you put them down at 9 and you go to 1. And just the whole, the ethic of just go for it, beast mode. And I was just like, you know what? Like, I've got all these things I want to do. I'm moaning to the missus or moaning to whoever, saying there's not enough hours in the day. It's getting on my nerves, like after work. And I'm like, oh, this ain't working. Whereas I was like, get the financials right, and then I can come away from work for 6 months, whether it be, if it goes pear-shaped, go back to plumbing. There is no, and I've never actually had that look at it, because there's never really been anything that I've wanted to drive towards. It was always like, let's just go traveling and then come back, and then let's just go traveling. I've done that 4 times around now. So the idea is to continue traveling. You know?
Yeah, so were you like, when you quit, were you like relieved? Were you a little bit scared?
Just the not knowing, really. Because I remember having it in my head, like ringing up my gaffer. Like, my gaffer's a good bloke, you know what I mean? He's looked after me. I rung him from the Philippines, give him my job straight back. So I thought, you know, I'll ring him up, tell him how I feel, you know, what I want to do. And he was like, mate, that's fine. I said, I'll work the rest of my, you know, my time here. But like, what I was flapping about is like, you think, oh yeah, it's sound. I'll come away from work and it'll all just fall into place. But like I said again, the structure, man, I had to have. That was what I was flapping it about more so, just having everything in order. So then when I do come away, because I had the Christmas period and the New Year to kind of sit on it whilst I was like, right, okay, I've got to get this into gear. So then when I do, you know, we've had Christmas and I'm overweight and I've had so much cheese and that, and I come round to it and it's like, right, this is it now. I've got to get my head down as if it's a job, because it is. It's, you know, you know, it's not bringing an income stream in at the moment, but I've got to look at it as if it's a job.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got to treat it as if it's a job as well. And I think a lot of it does come down to discipline. And I know one thing that you like to do is do your exercise first thing in the morning, which I think is great for discipline, because you don't always want to do it, but it always needs to be done.
Yeah.
Some, you know, often what you need, what you want, are two totally different things. I think you always need to do exercise. In fact, you don't always want to do it, prevails a lot of the time. But I mean, is that something you do like every day, 7 days of the week? You stretching your yoga just to get going?
The yoga is something we do every morning. First thing, first port of call. Gym is 4 times a week, depending on, you know, whether we're doing something or not, whether we could get one in on the weekend. But it's the consistency of it more so than anything. I mean, we've been doing gym for whether we're in Thailand, Cambodia, we was always trying to find a gym. It's just something that just releases them natural endorphins, so you feel good. You know, them ones where you come out of gym and you absolutely smashed it, and you're just like, I feel 100%. Do you know what I mean? There ain't nothing that's going to knock me. Whereas I noticed over Christmas, the more crap I ate, the worse I felt. And I was like, now that, don't get me wrong, it costs more money, it's more effort, but if you don't want to put that effort in, you're not going to see the results. And you know, I don't want a dad bod. Do you know what I mean? So I'm trying to steer clear the dad bod.
You don't want that. Not when you're not a dad yet, as well. Especially.
Right.
Not even alright to have one when you're a dad, but I mean, like, but we all kind of got a little bit, possibly we got a little bit of a dad bod last year.
Yeah.
We didn't keep our exercise up. There's no excuse for it. We could have done it at home. A lot of us didn't. I didn't really do it at home. I didn't really get into it, but no. So I've been like back in the gym, properly 2.5 weeks now, and like I've been doing it. I've been on and off the gym properly for like 10, 15 years, and the effect it gives you, like you just said there, when you walk out the gym, you've got all them good endorphins running around in your brain, all that dopamine that's been released by your body. It's really hard to beat that feeling, just knowing that, particularly when you go into it and you didn't want to do it. Like I find that on the days when you don't want to train and your head's going no, and you're just going, yeah, we're doing this. This is what we do now. Like there's no yes or no about it. There's no about it. Sorry, but yes. You just 10
minutes in, you just thought, I'm glad I'm here now. The tunes are going, you know, the sweat is beading off your head and you're ready for it. That I need that. Do you know what I mean? Especially now that I'm working from home. You know, sitting in a room all day, you know, you've got to come away from it. Whether you're going for, I mean, exercise can be just going for a walk, but I need that something, definitely. That keeps me going.
Yeah, I think definitely as guys as well. I can't speak for the ladies, but I think as men, you gotta, you know, we build up a lot of steam. There's a lot of pressure, particularly if you're someone who works for yourself, you know, and you are, you know, sometimes the provider. That stress, that pressure builds up, and for me, it's like a release valve. The gym is, you know, it's like a pressure release valve. Which some people might know watching. If you're not, then well, keep trying. If you know, like it's like a pressure release valve. It's something that automatically, just by itself, it just lets that pressure off. And I think a lot of people, I think that's what drove a lot of fear last year. The fact that people weren't getting that. You know, you said earlier actually the one thing that you kind of swayed you a little bit when you quit your job was the unknown. And for a lot of people, it's like, oh, you know, I don't know when the gym's going to open. I don't know when I'm going to get back into exercise, but I think really it's just a good excuse because you don't really need the gym to exercise. But it depends what you're doing there. Yeah, it depends what you're doing there. I like to lift heavy weights, so I'm not going to build a gym at home. One, because I don't have room. Two, because it's like it would be so expensive.
Yeah, well, with COVID, I mean, luckily for me, before I left, me and the brother-in-law set up a gym in his garage, bought all the club alike. But prior to that, it was literally my hits in the garden. Literally, that was it. Just me and my weight of my body kind of thing. And that, you know, it's horrible to do it because you're like, there is no excuse. I can't get to the gym today. Mate, just go in the garden. Do you know what I mean? No excuse. And that is it's just having that oomph, man. You know, having that, looking at yourself and going, this ain't going to work for me. And then just going for it.
Stay active, haven't you, and keep moving. I think that's the main thing. Doesn't matter what you do, as long as like you're active, you're moving, you're pedaling, you're walking, you're running, you're lifting, you're swimming. Doesn't matter. I think it's just the motion that keeps it flowing, and it keeps your brain flowing as well, your body. And I think that the connection between the two and the way that settles things out, particularly if you're running a business, and that often means doing a lot of things at the same time. It's a big benefit to your life. It's a big benefit, I think, that some people overlook. And unless you've really got that buzz and done it, You know, if you've been with him and you've got that pleasure of doing it afterwards, you don't really know fully how it feels until you've done it.
Yeah, and then it's just keeping it up is one of the harder things. And 80% of it is what you put in your mouth at the, you know, the food. That's the very time consuming meal prep, cooking, and all that jazz. But it, you know, it's the results that, you know, pay off when you're like, okay, I'm starting to get there now, and that's when you like, you know, that's when it all pays off. But yeah, health is wealth, baby.
Health is wealth, baby. Absolutely, man. And the two are so closely matched. And nutrition is a huge part of that. I think it really is. And it's not. See, I eat super bland. I could just honestly like chicken, brown rice, some variant of meat, chicken, brown rice, and loads of leafy greens. I can eat that 7 days a week, 3 times a day. It doesn't bore me. Like, I'm like, the way I'll spice it up, I'll be like, I'm going to put some black pepper on it this time. But this time I'm going to put some lime with the black pepper. Tomorrow I'm going to have some lemon. I'm like, that's yappy for me. Because like, if I accept the fact that I'm eating just for fuel and for performance, not to really enjoy it, but I can find some enjoyment in that because I know the results are going to come. I can just eat pasta all day. So the food prep in that sense doesn't take me that long, but it can, of course, take you. It can take you a long time if you're cooking for more than one person as well.
Exactly, mate. Yeah, that's it.
Traveling. I mean, that's when it gets tough.
Telling me, mate, we struggle big time, and it's expensive.
Particularly if you're in Asia, you know, because all the stuff in Asia is just fried or deep fried or with a lot of grease or oil in it. It's hard to find places that are healthy, and I guess, I mean, I've been there, but I don't think I've ever really tried to eat healthy when I've been in Asia. It'd be very expensive. Not very expensive, but more expensive than you usually pay.
Yeah, well, it's all avocados and greens and all the rest of it. It's, you know, you can have chicken and rice. That's the staple, isn't it? A fruit in Asia on that, but it's when the beers start flowing. That's the issue, because that's just empty. It's great fun, but it's empty calories. But yeah, we did definitely struggle there with trying to eat healthy because there's just fast food everywhere. But then it was on the gyms. We had like stints where we were traveling through, and it was like, right, okay, we'll get back on the gym now. So you stay in one place, whether I don't know, Koh Samui, for instance, lovely gym, loads of mountainous walks that you can go on, but then there for 2 weeks, then you just fall off again. So it's like consistency with anything, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is consistency, and it's like, and it goes back to kind of what we were saying earlier about, you know, consistency with your day now as someone who's running their own day. Like, I would say to anyone that's like thinking about doing your own thing, go for it. Don't let anything hold you back, but don't think it's going to be easy. You know, it's not going to be easy. Actually, I think you actually said this to me a couple of weeks ago. And now you find that you have to work harder than you did when you were working for someone else.
Well, yeah, I've got to use my head. Well, plumbing was just plod. You've done it so many times. When you bring yourself to something that's all new, whether it is the stock market or trading or learning how to edit this, that, and the other, using all different programs that you've never used before. It's all, to be honest, I love it because I'm learning every day now. Whereas at plumbing, an old boy might go, oh, did you know this did this and this? And then I'll be like, oh, right, sound, that'll stick. But like now it's every day, mate, every day. PE ratios, like just literally just go, my head is on fire at the moment.
So you're more challenged now, you would say, than you were when you were plumbing?
Yeah, more so than ever, mate, to be honest. With plumbing, it was kind of like you'd go on like your invented course, or they'd send you on your gas and all the rest of it. It was just like a refresher, wasn't it? You don't actually learn because the information is already there. It just kind of brings it back to the front. Whereas this, like, I'll talk to someone now about what I've been learning around, and I'm like, it is actually sticking. So, you know what I mean? I am actually learning because I'm enjoying it. You lose the enjoyment of plumbing. Don't get me wrong, when you do some nice work and you sit back and you're like, look at the set on that. But that, you know, I've been doing that years, so you always kind of pat yourself on the back kind of thing.
Yeah, you do. But I think it's important to be challenged. It's important to have new things that put you outside of your comfort zone, because it forces growth. You know, it forces adaptation, and it keeps your brain more alive, and then you become kind of more addicted to that. And then what do you want to do? You want to try more things. You want to try more things out and see what sticks. And then eventually you're just going to find something you really, truly love doing. In other words, your passion. And then when you start getting paid for that, you'll just never really actually feel like you ever work a day ever again.
That is the
That's the ultimate goal, right? That's the ultimate dream. That's what we're all kind of, not everyone. Some people are happy working for someone else. And look, everyone's version of happiness is different to them. But I think if you've made that decision like you and I have, and that's what you're driving for, then it's very, very difficult to go back on that decision.
Yeah, I just want that, you know, the freedom of not relying on someone else and being like, yeah, we can do that. Oh, I'm going away for a week. Yeah, let's do that. You know, the not, nah, mate, I ain't got enough holiday, or the gaffer ain't going to let me have them. That's not me no more. I've been doing it too long, just, which is great. You know, you come back. But if I look back on the time since I left when I was 21, 9 years later, all I've done is go for a year, come back for 2. Go for a year, come back for 2 or 3, and in them 3 years, it's just straight back to plumbing, straight back to plumbing. Whereas I always had these ideas in my head of whether it was, you know, back in like after school, it was like, right, I want to make these socks. How do I do it? Right, get a heat press, get a sublimation printer, got halfway there, things fizzled out, and then it just never happens. I'll give anything a go, but it's like I said, being consistent with it, looking at the end goal, imagine it in your head and being like, anything that anyone ever imagined or wanted to invent, it was just made up of an idea in their head. So, you know, I'm seeing the ideas now and I'm like, what have I got to do? Right, that, and that. Let's do it.
Yeah, I'm smiling, man, because you just said something that just literally mirrored myself and what I'm like. Like I try things and I go into things, and sometimes I get obsessed with them, but I don't always finish on them. And that used to bother me. It used to disappoint me. I used to be like, why do I do that? But now I made peace with it in that I'm like, well, I do that because I like trying new things, and I like going all the way up in there to figure out how much I like them.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just find out, like when I'm half or 3/4 of the way through, that I don't really like it.
Yeah.
But I mean, if I hadn't have done that, you know, then I wouldn't be doing this podcast right now. If I hadn't have thought about perhaps doing a bit of speaking, which led to this, which is leading to books and other wonderful things that will come down the track. So it just pays homage to the fact that you've got to give things a try, and it doesn't matter how many things that you do try, because it's a numbers game, right? It's like anything. It's like if you were trying to launch a new product and you were trying to sell it to a bunch of companies, like a bunch of retail stores. Eventually, you're going to get hit. Someone's going to take the bait. Someone's going to buy your store. It's like if you're out there and you're in the market and you're single, and I don't use them, but I know a lot of people use the dating app, but you're swiping. I was talking to a mate yesterday who was just recently single again, and he was like, yeah, man, it's just a numbers game. You just got to keep swiping, and eventually someone's going to go for it. And I'm like, it just seems so superficial to me. I was like, what's wrong with actually going out there and meeting people?
Yeah, well,
you know, it's like all of that stuff. It's a numbers game, right? And trying new things is the same. You just got to keep trying it, and something's going to stick. And along the way, you'll make a lot of failures, but you'll learn from all of. Well, hopefully, you'll learn from all of them. I think you only properly fail when you don't actually learn.
That's it. Yeah, that's it, mate. Definitely. Definitely. But now if you don't try it, you'll never know.
This is it.
With anything.
There's a Coldplay song that says that, isn't it? I'm not going to sing it because I don't want to ruin anyone's ears. Some of these people are listening early in the morning there, but there's a Coldplay song that says, if you never try, then you'll never know, which is absolutely right.
It's like Marmite, mate. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, they don't have Marmite here. It's called Vegemite.
Vegemite.
Still master. Still not right. So what, Matt? Out of all the countries in the world, and you've been to actually, how many countries have you travelled to?
Wow, off the top of my head, mate, I'd say just shy of 30.
Okay, well, that's a lot. So then, what made you want to settle on Australia? And is it, sorry, I should ask, is it that you actually see Australia as a long-term place where you want to kind of live and settle?
Come to Oz when I was 21. Then come away again and come back when I was 24. Love the place, you know. It's just adventure. Do you know what I mean? Every time I've done the working, I've worked in Melbourne, I've worked in Sydney, lived in St Kilda. You know, I've done all over the place, and then did the farm work, but then never. I knew what had to be done to stay, But then when you look at it, like I said before, never look at something all in one, because it will just blow your head off. Whereas if you just be like, right, what steps have I got to do to get there? Break it down, do it bit by bit. So that's what I did. The second time I come back from Australia, I just started looking into what the process would be. Me being a plumber on a point scheme. Obviously, the point scheme works off obviously age, your skill set, how long you've been doing it for, all the rest of it. And I was like, right, okay, that's what I've got to do. And I really want to go for it, because what, you know, I had a big conversation with the old dear, and I was like, well, I'm going to up and leave, give it a whirl. If it goes pear-shaped, goes pear-shaped. So, and that's when I started putting things in place, English tutors, financial, like, man, it's been a hell of a journey. I'm not going to lie. I'm still not there yet. Just, you know what? You can wait another year.
Yeah, this country will take you, but you have to make sure, they make sure that they actually want you first, and that you're going to bring value to their economy, and I think that's fair enough. You know, it's you have to jump through some hoops. I did it in a slightly different way to you, in that I kind of just got here, decided I was going to get sponsored pretty quickly, and then I did get sponsored pretty quickly. But then you have to do the thing of working still for someone else for 4 years, which was I was actually lucky. I found a really good firm. Excuse me. I found a really good firm to work for. There were still some days where I was like, I don't want to be doing this, man. Don't want to be doing this. Particularly when I didn't get with Australia. Still, a lot of the big construction sites are run by unions, and you get some of the best working conditions you would ever get in your life in construction. If it's like, if it gets to 35 degrees, you get sent home, you still get paid. Now, I know if you're listening from England, you think, well, that's mental. Of course you would, but not everywhere does. If you get good rains, you get sent home, you still get paid. If the milk's off in the fridge, and I've actually heard this happen on a site, I came and inspected the site and the milk was off in the fridge, so they sent everyone home and everyone still got paid.
No, I can't wait.
Good. So what? So are you doing? You're not doing what I did though. You're
I'm on a skilled independent visa.
Right, and that's the smart way to do it. Yeah, that's you've got time and money beforehand. That's a smart way to do it.
Yeah. I mean, I looked into all the options, and it was like, right, okay, you can come over temporary for 4 years. You can come over, be sponsored straight away, but you have to work for that company and stick with them for 4 years. If they don't give you sponsorship after the 4 years, you're going back home. And I was like, I'd rather go for the more expensive, long-winded option, because I know if I get there and I have my visa, I don't have to be a plumber. I can be whatever I want to be. This is just a ticket for me to get in the door, which is the same with what we're doing now. The plumbing was never something I want to be a plumber for the rest of my days and curled up old boy at 65 kind of thing. It's a stepping stone. Same with the plumbing. It's getting me in the country, and then wherever I decide to go on the golden land, then, you know, but that's just, I'm so glad that I did do it. You know what I mean?
And it takes time, and it takes effort, and, you know, as you know, mate, it takes money, but you'll definitely get there, man. And like me and Matt typically catch up every Monday. We have like a little mastermind chat, which I really love doing. Like, I like to, even the short time we've been speaking, man. I just think you've progressed a lot in that time. I think, you know, like we talked about journaling and stuff like that. And I mean, that's something you do most days now, right? You just do a bit of journaling, a bit of gratitude list. Yeah,
well, this is it. The goals are just growing. I mean, if you could see my wall, you'd understand that it's popping. Literally everywhere, mate. And then it's all around there. Got like monthly goals, 2 monthly goals, and then kind of like the obvious end goals. But it's like you've got like a 90-dayer, you've got a 5-year. Talk about the things that you want that have already happened, like visa, for instance, getting out to Bali, all the things that we want going forward, but they've already happened. So really, I'm sitting in a hut in the jungle at the moment, just in Bali, just chilling, eating avocados and stuff.
Yeah, the stoic mindset. I'm actually going to be in Bali later in the year. I've got this trip planned with.
Stop it.
No, I am. It's. I don't know when it is. I believe it might be in November or something like that.
What have they? Because we're on the verge of getting out there. We're just waiting for our visa agent to come through, because you can get a 6-month social, because we want to get to Bali because it's obviously closer to us, and living in England is just expensive, cold, and depressing. So that's the next port call, Bali. But yeah, that's the goal anyway. Get out there.
Yeah, well, I'm going to be there in November, but I might go there a bit earlier because it's a good place, man. It's a good place you can hang out for very cheap, still very cheap. And beautiful people as well, such nice people, the Balinese people.
Yeah. No,
Really,
long time ago, but it just looks. It's very open to Aussies as well. It's just, you know, people live there, they got their houses there. It's just like Spain, isn't it, for Aussies?
It is. And that actually, look, I'll be honest, that's the part of it I didn't like. When I went and I only went once, and I kind of liked some of it, and I didn't like other bits. But the people were beautiful. I just don't think I went to the right places. Outside of probably the persecution of any Aussies that are watching, but I just went to the places with all the Aussies, and it's like if you're English and you go to Spain, you don't end up in like Costa del Bravo or Sol, where the English people are with like tattoos with bulldogs on their stomach. It's just not the kind of thing you really go there for, is it?
No.
So yeah, so that's kind of that. I think I went to the very touristy places in Bali, and I'm not someone who likes to go to touristy spots.
Yeah, get out in the mix of it.
Yeah. I mean, that's like you as well. Yeah, it's and how do you do that? You know, when you're traveling and you're like, because I hate being a tourist, and sometimes you find yourself in them spots and you're like, me being here is having like a negative effect on possibly the environment, maybe like the animals and the plants that are here. And in that moment, I don't feel good about it, and I feel like a super tourist, and I'm like, I want to be somewhere else. I want to be more like off the beaten track.
Yeah, we had that a lot, mate. Say again.
Researching it.
Well, yeah, it's one of them. Like, just for instance, Cambodia, Angkor Wat. You get there at, let's say, 4 o'clock in the morning, or you leave your gaff at 4 o'clock in the morning, and you get there, and it's just like you've never seen nothing like it. It's insane. Yeah. It is not even the sun hasn't even cracked through. It's pitch black, and with people treading on each other's toes. And I remember, just for a laugh, I turned the camera around instead of pointing it at Angkor Wat, and I took a selfie with about 40,000 other people. Do you know what I mean? And it was just mad. But we had a lot of situations like that where, you know, you go to like a waterfall or something, and then you just see everyone's crap. You know, just rubbish, plastic bottles. The bigger thing was we did a lot of scuba diving through our traveling. We did our paddy and all the rest of it. And as we mooched on, we got more into it. But like in Thailand, the Philippines, the stuff that washes up on the beach, or the scum that sits on top of the water. For us, that was, well, that comes on to what we're trying to create, this brand, and what we're all about with the brand. And it's getting that crap out of the water, utilizing it, creating something from it, and then making a bigger picture. And it'd just be a cycle. Donate back round. Do you know what I mean? Just to help clean up the beaches. I mean, we did a lot of beach cleanups, but I just think to myself, it's all good doing the beach cleans up, but if it's time again, if it's not consistent, and we've got to know where that all the crap's going, you know, and where it's coming from. You know, Bali, one of the big problems over there is the amount of plastic and debris. It is insane. It's insane. So yeah, just seeing, we saw that a lot. We saw that a lot, getting off the tourist, you know, in the Philippines, going to the big and small lagoon. They sell you a dream. You get there, oh, you got to pay extra for this, pay extra for that. You're better off just paying the extra. Get yourself a private boat.
Always.
You know, talk to your tour guide. He's going to take you. He'll get there an hour before all the rest of the tourists land. But you're not going to go anywhere in the world now that there aren't. Well, at the moment, it's probably the best time to travel if you can travel.
Yeah.
There is not a tourist in sight kind of thing.
Yeah. I went up to Cairns, which is North Queensland, over Christmas. And I had a great time there. There's not very many people about at all. There's cheap time to travel. There's cheap time to stay in hotels. Really good time to travel. But let me tell you, I'll tell you a story actually about one night when I went to Gili Trarang, and I was there with my sister and my mom. Gili Trarang, which is one of the small islands in Bali. It was like a load of them together. Really nice tropical island. And one night I got really drunk and really lost. I think I may have even had some magic mushrooms as well. I'm quite sure I had. Local delicacy there, and as you can imagine, with that combination of concoction of things in there, I got quite lost. And it was I'm talking lost. I was wandering through people's like paddy fields and back gardens, and I just didn't know. And then I got to this middle part, and it was like the sun was coming up by now, so I'd definitely been lost for a while. But I got to this middle part, and I found that in the middle of the island, they were just constantly burning this huge pile of rubbish, and that was essentially how they got. That was like the system for getting rid of rubbish on the island.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, this is even in the start I was in, I remember thinking, this is terrible. It's really bad. I mean, I was probably a bit thinking about it a bit extra, feeling a bit extra, but I was like, and even when I think about that now, I'm like, it's hard, isn't it, when you're traveling, because you want to go to these beautiful places, but by going there, you're actually contributing to being part of the problem.
Yeah.
And it's a real difficult thing to battle with, which is why I kind of really like what you're about as the blog, is about, you know, traveling with, you know, the smallest carbon footprint you can, which isn't easy to do. But, and even if you aren't doing that, then like offsetting it, like, okay, I've done this travel. How can I offset the carbon I've used or the impact I've got on the environment? Or how can I do a bit to like do a beach cleanup or stuff like that?
I want to get involved in something that we can give back. You know, like you say, I mean, the beach club is like the beach cleanup is probably the smallest thing you can do. That's why we were like, we've got to be able. There is something that, you know, there are companies out there that are doing their best, you know, to take you know, systems in the sea to work out how much, because when the plastic goes in the sea, it doesn't just sit there. It breaks down, then it breaks down, then it breaks down, and then the fish eat it, and then and it's just a vicious cycle. So if we're not, if things aren't going to get, and with now, it's like the perfect time to get it out to the masses, because with the pandemic, global war, you know, all these things that come together, if we all have the same mindset in, if we all do a little bit, or we all try and just help just a tiny bit, you know, there's a lot of us, if we all come together, we can make a difference. Because, you know, like I said, when you see these corals and these, the marine life, and we really don't know much about the sea, but what we do know, I mean, it's absolutely unreal. And then we're there, you know, these lower economic developed countries don't have the resources. I've literally seen trucks just pull up, reverse up, and dump it, and it just goes into the estuary, straight into the sea, and then we're swimming with it. The fish are eating it, turtle, you know, all of that stuff. So our aim is to, now that they've got these systems where you can take all the plastic from the sea and they break it down, and they can actually make fibers from it. So it's not polyester, but it's man-made plastic polyester fibers, which you can then make t-shirts, shorts, all these other things. Same with the hemp fibers. Hemp is one of the most sustainable plants on the earth. Doing that instead of just caning out the cotton or the denim. And you imagine, we've looked into how much water is used just to literally make a pair of jeans. Do you know what I mean? When
I didn't actually know that. Is it a lot of water? Is it?
Oh man, it's insane. Gallons.
Really?
Yeah, and.
Why? How am I?
Well, obviously the fibers, like cotton,
right? Okay,
it's got to be fed constantly, irrigation constantly, and then obviously the process of the dyeing, you're just washing it down, doing it again, and it's just the water that gets run away. That runoff, where does that runoff go? Straight back into the sea, because the countries where they're making all these things don't have the sanitation or, you know, the means to recycle it back in. Whereas, like I said, there's a product called Econo, which is actually nylon fishing nets that's been sourced out of the sea, which is then reprocessed, which then can be created into swimming shorts, bikinis, all types of things. And then you've got the organic cotton, stuff like that, where it's not just bashed out on an industrial scale. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, just taking what's in the sea, or whether it is anywhere, plastic, anything. Like I said, you can make fibers out of it, and then the plan is to eventually just get it full circle. I mean, we're all about, like I said, the marine life, turtles, saving all that jazz. So if, you know, the plan would to be is get some products out to the people, get the people that are really interested in it, and then just do it full swing, you know, get the money going back to the countries that can't do it. You know, the sanctuaries on the beach where they're all getting tied up in nets and whatnot. Bali's a big one for that, actually. The turtle sanctuaries and that. But just trying to do something good. You know what I mean?
It's make a difference, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's up to you to. I think a lot of people spend a lot of time trying to get other people to change their behaviours and actions and efforts when you know you can control your own, and that's really all you can control. So just focus on that, do good, and maybe other people will follow suit.
Yeah,
I think that's a good way to do it, and a blog or a platform, you know, social platforms are a great way to do that stuff.
Definitely.
I think it's going to go really well for you. I think it's going to grow really well for you. I know you and Jess both work really hard on it, and that's what it takes. You know, it takes hard work, dedication, as you said. You know, as we both said, discipline, routine, scheduling. It's what it takes, man. These are like some of the key ingredients to do it on your own. You know, and unwavering faith as well, which I know you have. Like you already said it there earlier. Like you are already in Bali. Like you've got that sort of mindset.
Yeah.
A lot of people who are successful have that stoic mindset, you know. Someone that comes to mind because he's fighting next week, Conor McGregor. He's always said, like, he goes into a fight and he's lost them, but he always goes into a fight as, you know, he's already won. And when he used to drive crap cars, you know, he was always driving a Bentley or a Roll in his mind, and that's how it went. And you know, that's what became the stoic mindset. Like as you also pertain to everything happens twice, once here and once within, once without. And what's happening here actually predicates what happens out here. So it's important to keep that clean and keep that where you want it to be, and keep it moving forward.
Yeah. With the goals as well, you said to me, just start writing your goals down, and then without me even knowing, I've gone back to my notepad or whatever, and 3 months prior to that, I've written to be out of manual labour by whatever, I think it said 3 to 6 months, and then I've looked back at it and I'm like, well, that's the first one done.
That's it, man.
It's mad.
That's it, man. It's like just write them down, and before you know it, like there's just so much power in the writing. And I don't even know why or what it is. It's just something about that energy of it coming out your brain, down your arm, onto the paper. Out. And then you look back. Like I've got a few books here in front of me, little gold books. So I might even pull one out, see if we can do something like that. Because you write them down, and then at a later date, you look back at it a year or 2 years later, and you're like, oh, I did that. I didn't really think about doing it, or the fact that I was really working towards it.
The power in the pen.
The power in the pen. That's it, brother. We should make some pens with that put on there.
There's one's made out of recycled plastic.
Exactly right. Hemp's a big one, man. I think hemp.
Big time.
Hemp is used a lot though now, and it's being used more and more. Obviously, hemp isn't really at all demonised anymore. There's this product that can be used for lots and lots and lots of different useful things.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, the female side of the plant, well, it's a different story. Still demonised in lots of places at the moment, but it's getting better. Yeah, that's a whole other podcast. Maybe we'll do an episode. But Matt, before you get to the point end of this now, but there's certainly a couple of things, and we just did it free flow up to now. Like, me and Matt have known each other. We went to school together, so we've known each other for at least 15 years there. And when you know someone like that, it's a lot easier just to let it flow than having any kind of. But there were two questions that I did want to ask, and I really roll into all the podcasts. And the first one is, how do you define the word hustle, Matt, and what's driven your hunger for it?
For me, it's having that inner that fire, that push, that grind, that when you want something, that hustle kind of, without you even knowing, you know, you'll go out there and you'll push that extra mile just to get, you know, what you want. It's like with me, my hustle is that little ticker in the back of my brain saying, go on, just go for it. You know, you drive towards this, and that imagination that you have in your head where you're on your beach or you're on you know, that end goal. For me, that is like the hustle saying, you keep driving with this, you know, and the end goal is very reachable. I mean, I remember I'd be, when you were a kid and everyone would say, oh, I'll never be a millionaire, or not that is something that I want, but people are saying never say never. And it's true, because for me, I never thought I'd be sitting here now, away from work, doing exactly what I said. Oh, I really just want to crack on with that. Do you know what I mean? But now the hustle of me having the minerals to ring up the gaffer and be like, mate, I'm done. Thanks for everything, but there was a new path for me, and it's not this. And that's the hustle for me. That's the, just like I said, having the minerals, the risk. You know, I talk to mates and they're like, where you going? You know, what you doing? Oh, you're gonna go? You're mad, you are. Do you know what I mean? You're gonna go.
Yeah, we talked about this the other day.
It's the thing of like any type of change or like massive change for a lot of people is like, whoa. Do you know what I mean? Whereas for me, it's just an adaptation. Do you know what I mean? Like, you put yourself in a position, you adapt to that, and then like now it's normal. Me being here doing what I'm doing is normal now. You know, after we come off this call, I'm going to crack on and get on. And you know what I mean? It's just normal. Whereas the hustle has done that for me. And with anything I've ever done, whether it was moving away from from all my mates when I was 18, and then I hustled my way through college, got my qualification, and if I didn't do that hustle there, I wouldn't be sitting here now, and I wouldn't be knowing that probably in a year's time I'm going to be near the beach, chilling. I'll be able to get a flight down, see you, or go for a couple cold ones.
Yes, right, definitely. Taking the jet skis out, man. I love them by then. Yeah.
But yeah,
So one thing you said there about the hustle, and you know, sometimes I think it's important to discuss this because people, I don't want to use the word discouraged, but people won't always understand and align with what you want to do, and that's perfectly fine, right? You know, never let someone's opinion of you become your reality. And frankly, what they think about you is it's none of your business. It's their shit. It's nothing to do with you, right? Yeah. I think it's easy to get like led off the path by that sometimes, and not create your own path. You know, follow other people. And also something that you said is that, you know, you rang your boss and you're like, look, thanks very much, but you know, I'm moving on here. And I think it's important to, if people are watching this, which is one of the main reasons I do this, is to talk to people like you that have actually made the step, you know, that I made a few months ago and have gone from being employed to entrepreneur. And like, it's not easy, but I think a lot of people can do it, and it brings a lot of people a lot of happiness. But like, don't listen to anyone around you. And B, when you are going to leave your job, don't burn your bridges. You know, you might not 100%. You were fortunate; you had a good guy. You know, not everyone does. But like, even if you're not 100% happy with the people you work with or the company you work with, don't burn your bridges. Don't be a dick and be like, leave on bad terms, because nothing's certain in this life. You know, nothing's 100% certain. You don't want to go back, but you might have to in 6 to 9 months. You might have to do a month back because the pocket gets low and you can't afford rent or mortgage or whatever's on your head. So I just don't think never burn your bridges, or you might come into connection with them in business in another way. You know, you might end up supplying. I mean, the guy who you used to do plumbing with, you might come out with a part that you can make from recycled plastics in 3 years' time, and ring him up and go, hey, do you want to buy 10,000 of these? You just don't know. That's how life works, yeah. But when you're an entrepreneur and things open up for you, so just never burn your bridges, no matter what anyone's done to you. It doesn't serve you to behave how they behave to you back to them, because that's just an eye for an eye, and it just really doesn't get anyone anywhere. So
especially I've always got the view, if someone looks after you, look after them. You know,
yeah,
karma, innit?
Yeah. And to a degree, I think even if people don't look after you, like, still be nice and friendly, but just be aware that you don't give them too much of your energy.
Kill them with kindness, mate.
Kill them with kindness. That's it. Yeah,
for sure.
And then the other question I had for you, which I wanted to ask you, is like, I usually close out with 3 hot tips for people, and I'm wondering what aspect I've actually asked you in these. I think it might be like to do with the blog. You know, if people are, because like, travel is the luxury of our generation, right? It used to be before our generation, and I was thinking about this. Like I said, me and you have been friends for 15 years, but we both went to Hill West, yeah. So that would be more like 20 years. It would have been. Maybe even 23, 4. But I forgot where I was going with it. Right there, let it come back. Where was I going with it? Yeah. So travel is the luxury of our generation. Whereas people before us, it was like, you get married, you settle down when you're young, and then comes the house, and you have a job for your whole life, and it's probably the same job. And then when you're 40 or 50, you get a gold watch, and they'll tell you thank you very much, and then you're done.
Yeah.
The world's changed a lot now. It's not like that anymore. Now it's like, okay, I want to do my studies, and some people don't even bother. They just get to 16 and they're gone. They've gone, and fair play to them folks. Use the F word, they're trying not to use them on the podcast. But like, that's the new luxury of our generation. Now, a lot of people say they want to do it. I did a bit of it, and then I kind of settled here, and I still do traveling when I can, when we're not in the situation we are. But you really do it in 30 countries. That's a lot to have under your belt. And then you like start documenting it as well, made a blog out of it. So like, if we give 3 tips like to people that are watching, 2 or 3, however you see fit, to people to actually do that and actually go out there and actually like not just say they're going to do it, but actually travel, actually document it, and then turn it into a blog of something that can benefit other people who are looking for a resource.
Well, 3 things. Well, the first thing would be is anything that you have, whether it's an idea, just anything that you want to do. Like for us, it was the blog, or for me, it was coming away from work. Don't ever give up on that idea. Just literally, if that's what anything is attainable. Anything. It just depends how much drive you want to put towards that goal. So for me, the visa, it was the more times I got knocked back, the more times I didn't fail the English test, but I had to get the higher score on the English test to enable me to get in.
Which isn't easy. Not easy.
I took it 4 times, mate, for 250 quid. I got it last time. I did tutoring, £40 an hour. You know what I mean? The money was just going out the window, but I was like, I am not giving up, because it was just stressing me too much, because I was like, I need that. And I know I can get it. I've just got to put that little bit more effort in. Same with the blog. It was an idea. Should we give it a whirl? And now it's like, come on, tenfold. Just do it. Do it. Number 2 is always have a strategy with it. You know, like I said, then you've got an idea, get it written down. How do you go about it? What step? If I want to set up a website, what are the first 5 steps I've got to do to set up that website? What platforms do I use? What theme am I going to use? What kind of vibe am I going for? So always have a strategy in whatever you're going to do. For us, the blog, I had an idea, and then the strategy kind of moved on. I mean, we were stuck in a hotel, so it was like, we ain't got nothing else to do, so let's drive towards this, and then it just come on, you know. And then when you look back at that, it's just like, wow. And then break it down. Don't think about it all at once. You know, like I said, with anything, whether it's even going to gym, don't think about it all at once. Just be like, right, okay, just get there first, and then get your tunes going. That's the next step, and then get into it. Always break it down. That I've found that if I think about loads of things all at once, like if I'm doing, I don't know, editing a video or whatever, I think about it all at once, it blows my head off. So if I break it down into sections, but yeah, that is definitely them 3 things. Never give up, have a strategy, and break it down into little bits. Don't think about it all at once, because it will blow your head.
I like it. It all makes sense. It all makes sense, and that is sage advice, as they say. So, option. So, mate, it's been really good to spend some time with you.
Yeah, good. Always.
Around, man, and I think we should follow up on this, because like you're literally doing the journey that I did a few years ago, and next time I think we'll do perhaps when you've got to Bali, when you've got to the next spot, because then what will be the vision in your mind is Australia, then it'll be the next one. So when you're in Bali, we'll do this again. We'll see where you're at then, and we'll show these folks how it's done.
Yeah,
the title of this one was title of this podcast, folks, was quitting your job and open brackets almost close brackets traveling the world. So next time will be quitting your job and no brackets needed, no word almost.
That's it. Love it. Love it.
Thanks for your time, mate. I do appreciate it. And thank you as well, Jess. I know you're backing him up there on the side with the words that he could not remember. Great people, and you are great people as well for listening. And thank you all, whether you're listening on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, Spotify. I think there's some other things. I forget how many things it goes out on. If you enjoyed the show, give it some love. Send it to someone else who might like it. If you know someone that's looking to start their own business, wants to start their own business, or just isn't happy doing their job, then send them an episode of this podcast. It might inspire them. It might help them find their hunger for the hustle. Who knows? Stay hungry, folks, and keep hustling wherever you are in the world. Have a good morning, good day, good evening, and good night. Thank you.